Let's talk about street signs, shall we? Around the country, there was this hysteria for getting rid of street names that with links to slavery and the empire. Now, back in 2022, for example, Ealing Council changed the name of Havelock Road, which was named after the British Empire General Sir Henry Havelock, to Guru Nanak Road. Haringey Council is changing the name of Black Boy Lane to La Rose Lane. Rockford Council seeks to ditch Imperial Way and Rhodes Way, etc., etc. You know the syndrome. Anybody to do any of our heroes, Francis Drake, Walter Raleigh, historical figures, Nelson, get rid of all these names because they could be connected to slavery or the empire. We can't have that. Michael Gove noticed a couple of years ago that a lot of people who lived in these kind of streets didn't like the fact that their street name was being changed when they had nothing to do with it. And so Michael Gove said, yeah, fair enough, we'll have referendums by the people in these streets or the people in the towns, and if they agree that the street name should be changed, we'll change the names, but if they don't, we won't. Well, guess what? Angela Rayner has quietly got rid of that, and in many councils now, they're calling them activist councils. What they mean by that is left-wing Labour councils will be given the go-ahead to unilaterally rename streets with links to slavery and the empire. In other words, if you live in, Queen Victoria Street or Imperial Lane or Rhodes Avenue, no, you don't have any choice in it. The local council, the woke local council, is going to change the name of your street, whether you like it or not. Let's talk to author and sociologist Frank Furedi. Welcome, Frank.
Hi, nice talking to you.
What do you make of all this? I mean, we knew about the syndrome. The people actually revolted. They rose up against this and said, look, we like living in Imperial Way or, Charge of the Light Brigade Avenue or whatever. Don't change the name of our street. So Michael Gove said, fair enough, we'll let the people decide, which seems to me democracy. But now Labour have gone back on that. Keir Starmer's Labour, or rather Angela Rayner's Labour, you don't get any say in it. They're going to unilaterally change the name of your street for woke reasons. What do you make of that?
Well, as far as they're concerned, local democracy doesn't count for very much. And you have to remember that if you take a typical activist local council, they're not doing very much. They're not exactly in the business of building houses or roads or changing the infrastructure or helping people get on with life. They're going to be seen to be doing something. And what they like to do is to do these symbolic gestures, like changing the name of squares, of streets, of appearing to be relevant, about saying that we need to have more up-to-date sort of names of public places. And I think what's happened is that this is like the government throwing them a bone, saying, okay, you guys are not up to very much, but we want you to have something to do, so why don't you go out there and change a few street names? And maybe that will give you a sense of accomplishment. In the meantime, ordinary people that have lived on Queen Victoria Square or have lived on Churchill Avenue, and that's been their kind of tradition, get up one morning and they discover that Churchill Avenue is now called Saeed Mohammed Square or something else. And that is a bit of a shock that obviously will upset a lot of people.
What does it mean, Frank, sociologically, culturally? What is going on here? This is kind of thought control, isn't it? If we extract from your consciousness the very concept of empire or slavery, by taking away the names that were connected with empire, then somehow or other we'll all forget about it corporately and the empire will never have happened. Slavery will never have happened. It's a very weird and odd process, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's very important. I call it the education of forgetting.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do is to make us forget where we come from, make us lose sight of what our past is it's very much about somehow creating this fine line, this kind of very strong line between the present and the past, and saying everything that has gone on beyond the present is a story of shame, that we have got to be, in a sense, feeling guilty about what went on before our time. And we're going to make up for it by these symbolic gestures of changing names, of basically apologizing for our very existence. And what it does is it deprives people of their cultural legacy and their inheritance. And you might say, okay, well, just a street name. Well, it's actually more than that, because that street name, that name of that pub, actually connects people to their ancestors, to where they kind of come from. It's got an organic relationship to our history. And if you kind of get rid of that, what you're left is with nothing. You know, you've got nothing but this kind of new kind of identity that's been imposed upon you.
Yeah, when I was much younger, I bought my first flat in Islington. So this was the early days of that, and my flat was near a primary school or an infant school called the Liverpool Road Infant School, and they changed the name to the Winnie Mandela Under Fives Resource Centre. So you have to be careful with the new heroes you create, because sometimes they can be defective. Why are the left so dictatorial about this sort of thing? It's as if they reserve the right to educate us, to make us better people, you know, to worry about empire and slavery, when actually we don't actually want to. Why are they so dictatorial in this area?
Well, they think that they know better than you and I or ordinary people what's in our best interest. So they have this assumption that they are really aware, and the rest of the population is really steeped in prejudice and xenophobia. And their job is to put right the world we live in, because ordinary people are not capable of making decisions about their lives that is good. And this kind of paternalistic assumption that they are, in a sense, able to make our lives better for us is something that they are so committed to, they're so zealous about it, that as far as they're concerned, local democracy is an obstacle that they can do without.
I think they think, the socialists think all democracy is an obstacle they can do without, certainly the way Starmer's behaving right now. Frank, always a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much for your time. Frank Furedi there, author and sociologist. What do you think about that? I don't know if you live in one of these streets called Churchill Avenue or Queen Victoria Street or Rhodes Way, Imperial Grove and all these names. Walter Raleigh, Francis Drake, they're taking away these names. They're taking away our history because they think it's bad for us.